Hey guys, Ryan here. Welcome back to another episode of VGC Prep. As you can see on your screen, we do have a best 2 out of 3 against Esquilo. One of those. For the Pokemon Doubles League. So just to get right into it, his whole team was Arcanine, Crobat, Venusaur, Gengar, Gardevoir, and Clefable. So in the first battle, as you can see my full team below, I dropped Mega Heracross for Pangoro, which sounds really ridiculous, but Pangoro can run a bunch of different sets, whereas Mega Heracross can honestly just run one set. And at the same time, you know, when am I ever going to bring Mega Heracross over Mega Mawile? Hello! So I got rid of that for that. And so I was looking at his team, and I saw the Venusaur, which could possibly be a threat, but my biggest concern was the fact that there were 2 fairy types, and Pangoro is 4 times weak to fairy. Now, I knew going into that's probably what he's going to bring, so I slapped Gunk Shot on my Pangoro just in case, if I can catch them in Trick Room. However, I looked at his team, and I realized, you know, I don't have too much use for Pangoro. You know, Arcanine can hit me with close combat, Crobat has Brave Bird, Gengar gets Dazzling Gleam, Gardevoir and Clefable obviously have Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, so there's really no point in Pangoro. I figured my best bet, I obviously only brought Mesprit for Trick Room, so I didn't see any way of him stopping my Trick Room first turn, outside of maybe Taunt from Crobat, or Taunt from Gengar. But I decided to lead off with Mesprit, and Dragalge honestly had one of the best type matchups against him. Outside of the Gardevoir, it could pretty much deal a lot of damage. Now, I am Assault Vest Dragalge, so I wasn't too sure how much a Psychic would do to me, and I was a little concerned about that. But he does start off with Gengar and Crobat, and I'm basically just predicting that he's going to taunt my Mesprit. So instead of going for Trick Room, I decide to just straight up go for Psychic on Gengar, because at this point on the field, Gengar's the only thing that can take out my Mesprit, so I figured that was my best play. Now he does Mega Evolve, we knew that he was going to be a Mega Gengar, and he actually Brave Birds into my Dragalge, which is not good in the least bit, because obviously I'm not going to take that very well. But then he goes for Shadow Ball, and since I'm Assault Vest, I actually survived that really well. So I Psychic the Gengar, and it just one-shots it. Now, I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting, you know, at least a 2-hit KO, forgetting that I'm very, very invested with this Mesprit. So I do go for the nice and powerful Thunderbolt on the Crobat, and when I say nice and powerful, I mean not powerful in the least bit. So in comes Arcanine, and I do have my Mawile and Togekiss in the back, and I figured Dragalge is actually going to be pretty useful in the rest of this battle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Togekiss here. I'm going to go for that Trick Room with Mesprit, because that's probably my best play. And just hope for the best. So he actually Brave Birds into my Togekiss, which is actually pretty good for me. Because I get the red card, I get to shoot him out, I get to see what his third Pokemon is, which is going to be very crucial in the next couple of turns. It turns out to be Gardevoir. So Arcanine goes for Flare Blitz, and it's going to be on the Mesprit, but I will survive that because, you know, I am relatively bulky. It does a lot of damage, but we can kind of see it's not Life Orb, so it's a toss-up as to what this could possibly be. So I'm really worried about this Arcanine. It can easily take out the rest of my team. It could have Extreme Speed. We didn't see Extreme Speed here, so I kind of assume it's either Banded or doesn't have Extreme Speed, mainly because it could have very easily taken out my Mesprit there. And he actually goes for Psychic here. I was hoping he'd take me out because I would have a safe switch into my Mega Mawile, but unfortunately he actually survives, which I found hysterical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight for an Air Slash on Gardevoir. I would have gone for Dazzling Gleam, because that is obviously stronger, but it would have also hit the Crobat, so it wouldn't have been as strong on the Gardevoir, so I figured I would just focus into the Gardevoir there and get the Psychic off on the Crobat. Unfortunately, we do get a flinch, but in the long run, outside of differential, it really didn't matter, especially since he decided to attack the Togekiss there instead of the Mesprit. We get another crit. Again, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I do have a Mega Mawile on the back, so regardless, even if he had HP Fire, he couldn't have one-shot my Mega Mawile. So really, the crit didn't matter, the flinch didn't matter. It only matters in differential, and overall, it's not a big thing because differential is the 4th thing in the list of tiebreakers. So at that point, it's just too far in the future. So I bring in my Mawile, and basically, I could have just gone for an Iron Head. I didn't know if he was going to go for a Will-O-Wisp. It's possible that he has Will-O-Wisp. Wasn't really sure. I just go for Sucker Punch and Dazzling Gleam. I kind of want to try my hardest to preserve the differential, because while it doesn't really matter too much, I am actually very close to a lot of people in terms of scores, so it would have just been a little bit better for me. And overall, saving for differential isn't super important. Is just one of those things that can be useful. So yeah, like I said, I think those crits really didn't matter. The crit and flinch, all it would have done is just brought down the differential, which really isn't that big of a deal. Alright, so moving on to the second battle. I really liked that lead. I thought it was very, very perfect for what we wanted to do. And Togekiss and Mawile in the back were pretty much everything I needed. So we're going to have to hope, like, he doesn't kind of double into either of my 2 Pokemon. But he actually starts off with Gengar and Venusaur, and I took a bit of a risk here. I know that my Dragalge can basically stop his whole team, because he really doesn't have anything but Gardevoir to take it, and if I get Trick Room up, Gardevoir can't take it. So I took a bit of a risk, and I decided to stay in with Mesprit, because a double into is possible, and go for Trick Room. And thankfully, he actually goes for Sleep Powder into my Mesprit, and I put safety goggles on it specifically for that Venusaur. Now, we do get the paralyzation onto Gengar, and that's actually not good. The reason it's not good is because I get Trick Room up, and he's going to be half speed, so he's actually going to be faster than my Mesprit, but thankfully, he does get a paralyze there, which is really unfortunate, really unfortunate. And then we get a crit on the Venusaur, which is also super unfortunate, because I'm pretty sure we would not have one-shot that. We might have, actually. I really don't know, because his team isn't as bulky as I thought it would be. So there's a chance. I am pretty offensive with this Mesprit. So I go for the Sludge Bomb onto the Gardevoir. Is honestly the safest play. I could have attacked into the Gengar to survive with the Mesprit, but I felt at this point Mesprit wasn't super useful anymore. So what I do here is I Air Slash the Gengar and I Sludge Bomb the Gardevoir, but he actually does a really fantastic play and goes for Ally Switch and Disable. So now I can't take out that Gardevoir, and I'm in a slight pickle. Like, basically, I have the Mawile on the back, so I can easily beat these 2 Pokemon without a doubt in my mind. But once Trick Room gets over, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I have to kind of go back and forth between these, and this is kind of where you see that Dragalge really isn't that strong. I am max special attack, I am modest, I am Assault Vest, so I actually only end up doing like barely 25% to this Gardevoir, and I'm like, alright, well I lost my Dragalge here to Psychic, forgetting that I was Assault Vest, and I survived with so much HP! Oh my god! So in comes Arcanine, and I'm realizing that if I cannot take out this Arcanine, I can't win, because while I can get an Intimidate off with my Mawile, it's not going to be enough. So I have to go for Follow Me here, because basically my Dragalge is at a low enough HP where a double into it will take it out, and I have to get a Hydro Pump off onto this Arcanine. So one Flare Blitz goes off, and that does more than half. Now, the Gengar, when it got paralyzed, did Sludge Bomb onto the Togekiss, and I would have survived that pretty well, but I wouldn't have survived that Flare Blitz otherwise. So I do get the Hydro Pump off in the Gardevoir, and I had to make a really big decision. Do I Hydro Pump? Because remember, my Sludge Bomb's disabled. Do I Hydro Pump the Arcanine slot or the Gardevoir slot? And I basically just made a decision to Hydro Pump the Arcanine spot, because the last time he went for Ally Switch, he didn't go for it the second turn, and his Psychic won't take me out. He basically has to hope for a crit. So that's what I went for, because had he not gone for the Ally Switch, he said in the chat that basically it wasn't offensive pressure enough, and he knew that I had the Mawile on the back, and a combination of Sucker Punch onto the Arcanine plus the recoil from the Flare Blitz would basically take it out. So he basically had no choice other than to hope for a flint or a crit on the Dragalge, and unfortunately he didn't get it, which it is unfortunate because he did get pretty hacks that battle. There were two pretty important paralyzations on the Gengar. So those were the two battles. 2-0 win for me. Overall score of 5 with the KOs and what have you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Peace.